Hi, my name is Cole Weber.
I'm Zach Krause.
Today we're going to be talking about technology within the workplace.
So, as soon as the pandemic hit, it seemed as if everything that was going on in the world suddenly stopped and we went online. And this has to do with schools, work, and even just day-to-day interactions. So, in the workplace, this has had a dramatic effect, especially on the worker relationships, because when you hear somebody talk, it's broken down into three categories how you perceive the information. And the first category is words. The words that you hear is only 7% of how you interpret a message that someone gives you. 38% of what you interpret is the voice of how the message is given to you, and that has to do with the tone and the word choice that is actually used. And the biggest part of how you perceive messages that are given to you are how you see them, and that has to do with your body language and the usage of your hands when you talk. And with communication via technology, you really seem to miss out on this 55% of seeing the message given to you, and that's the most important part. And another thing that's happened since we have gone online is the worker relationships haven't been as good because you don't interact with your coworkers on a day-to-day basis. And whenever you do get to interact with your coworkers on a day-to-day basis, you get to form a stronger bond with them. And it doesn't mean you have to be best friends with your coworkers, but having that sort of friendship only provides more trust in the relationship and will in turn give you guys better work in the long run because there's a better foundation there. But the next thing we want to talk about is the pros and cons of working from home. And the main pro we have is that it's less expensive for the employee. The amount of money that you're going to save on gas is tremendous because there was a study done that the average time spent commuting to work was over an hour. And not only does this provide a lot more stress in your day-to-day life, having to get to work on time and having to leave at a certain point so you can have family time. Whenever you work from home, the amount of family time you have increases exponentially because you're at home more and you get to have more interaction with your family. And the more interactions you have with your family is going to allow you to alleviate more stress in your day-to-day life. And the amount of stress that you get to eliminate will in turn give you better work. And one of the biggest con that we have with working from home is management is so much harder because the top level managers aren't going to be able to oversee while everyone's working. They can't be on everyone's computer at once trying to talk to you and giving you input on what you should do and what another person should do whenever they can't see you. But the next thing we're going to talk about is the replacement of workers.
So for technology being as prevalent as it is, it's been around for a long time. Obviously, it's going to find its way into the workplace. Of course, now when we're in the pandemic more than ever. But one of the biggest spots, not only that are people using technology, but companies themselves are using technology to replace essentially workers. And the biggest spot of this is, or the biggest place this can be seen is in the auto industry, or places where you're working on a line. When a human person is set down to do repetitive tasks day after day after day after day, doing the same exact thing over and over, that can get tiring, it can get monotonous, it can just get boring. I wouldn't want to do it. So to combat this, workers have tried to make themselves better and really focus in on doing that one task properly. But when you do something like that for so long, obviously mistakes are going to happen, issues are going to come out within the products from being lackadaisical with your work because it does get so monotonous. So what companies have done is that they've built machines to replace these workers and do that exact same job over and over and over and over again. And this is a benefit for the employer because you only have to make a one-time payment on this machine. You don't have to pay a salary over and over and over again. And if the machine breaks down, you can either have it repaired for some amount of money or essentially get a new one. When a worker goes down, you have to go through an interview process. You have to find somebody to fill that spot. And when you're a employee, what you have to do is essentially become irreplaceable. You have to become somebody who cannot have their spot taken. And this is true across all workplaces and all jobs, but especially now because this has become so much more prevalent in the workplace. Zach and I both play baseball. We hear Coach Flesh speak at every practice, really, and he gives that speech to us on a weekly basis.
It has to be a weekly basis.
Right. And when he says that, his point is, no matter what you're doing, whether it's building car parts, working on baseball stuff, and anything like that, your whole goal as a person, as a human being, not only an employee or a baseball player, but as a person, should be to become irreplaceable. You should be so good at what you do, no matter what it is, that you can't have somebody to fill your spot. Or when somebody does fill your spot, everybody's going to talk about, oh, this guy was so much better, or oh, she was so much better, because you did the best you could and became essentially the best at your work. So with this technology coming in to replace people and us having to use it, the biggest question is, what can you do? What can you do besides trying to be irreplaceable? What if you were the best at your job, but now your job's online? It's a completely different format. It's something you don't understand. What you can do as an employee is to be the best at your new job. You have to learn to adapt and be as good as you can with the tools you have. A lot of people, when they have transferred over from their other jobs into this workplace, they aren't used to using Excel or emailing so much or using proper grammatical terms and things of that nature. So, as an employee, the best thing you can do is constantly communicate with your employer. Let them know where you stand. Keep it brief. Keep it simple, to the point. Don't fill it up with things that don't really need to be spoken on. Fill your work emails with, oh, this is where I'm at. This is what needs to be done. This is so and so. You need to be to the point and as direct as you possibly can. Another thing you can do is go online. Because we have all this technology, you can learn things like Excel and PowerPoint and work emails and Skype and Via and Zoom and all of these things. You can learn how to use them through the internet. YouTube has become so prevalent in teaching people how to get things done. And when you're at home, you don't know what to do with yourself. You think, oh, I can't do this. I don't know how these things work. Take the little bit of time you have, since you are working from home. You're not as busy with your job. You don't take that hour you don't have to drive. Go on YouTube, look up how to use Excel, and then just go through the videos. Figure out how you can make yourself a better employee and a better overall worker, to work yourself into being irreplaceable. When this happens, everybody benefits. Not only do you benefit, you're less stressed, you're less worried about, am I going to be able to do this right? Is my employer going to be mad at me? You're focused on, you know you can do it, you've learned how to do it, and because of this, you don't have to worry about things like that. And the employer also benefits. They now have an employee that knows how to do all of these things. They have someone who can use Zoom, who can help set up meetings, things like that, because you took the extra hour out of your day that you don't have to drive anymore and put it towards something that can be beneficial. So my question to you is, what can you do to make yourself better? What is it in your job, in your schooling, in however you use technology today, what can you do to be better? Is it taking that extra couple minutes learning something on Excel? Is it taking a couple extra minutes learning where you can find resources online and things like that? If you can do those things, you can make yourself a better person in whatever it is that you're pursuing. Thank you.